Hey, this is Regina White Favors with Overcoming Life Tired Setback. And so the topic today is be careful making life decisions based on lies. The reason why this particular this particular topic is really connected to um, people who say that they're going to marry you when they have no real indication that they're really going to marry you, right? You begin to make decisions based upon a false promise. This doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic entanglement. It can be a business venture. It could be a number of things that you are now leveraging your mind, your heart, your body, your soul, your finances on a false promise. The person has not proved to you uh, that you are worthy enough to respect. And now you are making a life decision, a life choice on the potential of a person, even though the person does not have a record of actually accomplishing anything. It goes back to this idea of something that I keep seeing on social media a lot of times about uh, don't marry for potential, be careful dealing with a trying man, don't be a ride or die. And then you have some men who say, well, I need a ride or die type of woman, or some people who say, I need a woman to hold me down, things like that. You always have to remember that we are actually adults, and adults need to be able and have the capacity to take care of themselves. It's not always that you need somebody to make $100,000, or you need somebody to make $600,000 or $1 million. First, you need to make sure that you are making that. You don't require something of someone that you are not doing yourself, right? That's one. Two, it's not so much the money that the person makes, it's whether or not they can take care of themselves as an adult. So even if the person is making $25,000 a year, or the minimum of $40,000 a year, do they have their own apartment? Can they pay their own rent without help? Do they pay for their car note and insurance? Do they pay for their own food? Is the uh, is the apartment furnished? It doesn't have to be the best furniture, but it's furnished. There's a bed, there's a couch, there's a chair, there's some dishes, there's some pots and pans. Are they living their lives as an adult, or do they still live in the house with their mother? And you have to judge that situation too, depending upon what's going on. If the person just lost their job and they may have to move in with their parents, okay, that's obvious. We're not criticizing that person uh, for having that life setback. Everyone has experienced some sort of life setback. Everyone has experienced some sort of job setback, whether you either lost your job or you got a reduction in pay. Okay, and then it affected everything else you got to do. Okay, that's what you want to measure whether or not that person can be an adult. Because if you have someone who only goes and gets a job just to get a job, and then within 6 months they have decided to quit the job, and they have this as a repeating pattern, okay, that person is not stable, and you are making a decision. You're making a life decision based upon that person's lie. They presented to you as a person who is stable and has a good job, um, and has income, right? But they didn't reveal that they are the types of people who will start mess at the job, go to HR, try to get somebody fired, write letters, uh, complain, have meetings or whatever, just for them to go on ahead and be fired later themselves. They purposely lose the job because they know they can depend upon you. That's a lie. They presented themselves as a person who was competent emotionally, psychologically, financially, and then when they get into your house, they create a situation. They provoke a situation at the job so they can lose a job, so they can then turn around and depend upon you because they know you're not going to quit the job, and they know you're not going to want to lose the place that they are now moving in with you, right? They know that you're going to pay the bills. there was this video of a woman who was mad that her boyfriend, that she gave the money to him to go and pay the electric bill, I think. And he decided not to pay the electric bill. He took that money and bought him some new shoes. And then in the video, eventually the lights are cut off. Well, in his mind, he knew she was going to solve the problem. So yeah, he went and bought her some shoes. He had no shame. It didn't matter. Uh, at some level, he presented as a person that she could trust, even with a basic bill paying situation that he didn't even have to use his money to do, to pay. He still was not trustworthy in that maybe test case. It could have been a test case. I don't know, but he still. And so then she eventually had to pay the rent. She called himself trying to put him out, but he knew she would accept him back. And that's what you do. You make these life decisions. You're going to move in somebody into your house, and a person cannot get his own house or her own house. They're complaining that they can't depend on anybody, but they can't even depend on themselves. You're making a life decision based upon lies, what the person has presented to you. And so be careful about the types of decisions that you're making, because there is this occurrence of people who are moving in together, women in particular, who are very successful in their lives, moving in bums, moving in losers. And those people come in, they take domain, emotional, psychological, cognitive, spiritual domain. Now the whole place and the woman looks like property, and so then they can exact whatever it is, whatever whatever destruction they want to exact in that environment. So then you can't sleep. You are always anxiety ridden. You can't go to sleep in your bed. You are afraid to go to sleep. You don't know what the person is going to do. One thing about the previous situation that I was in between 2013 to 2016, where I was not supposed to be in that situation, it was a fornicating situation, and I was going against God. And he wouldn't leave his ex alone. And what he would do was, because he was trying to impress her, he would go get really good jobs. But then when it looked like she wasn't going to take him back, he would stay on the job for a good 2 or 3 months just to prove to her that he can keep the job. But then when she wouldn't let him come visit her at her place, and they would go to a motel instead, he would find a way to quit the job. he he would find some kind of strategy to confront the boss, confront the supervisor, get on the supervisor's nerves so that he had to be written up, or he would set it up where he was hurt on a job and had to go to the hospital, and then maybe file for workman's comp. He would find ways to quit, and these were great jobs with brand name companies, and he always found a way to lose it. And so then one day, I called him a loser. And the reason why I called him a loser, I wasn't trying to be negative. I wasn't even trying to be sarcastic. I was calling it what it was, what he was. He would set himself up to win, but turn around and lose it on purpose. He's a loser. He got offended by that, right? And then everything began uh, to kind of self-destruct after that. And so, what I was afraid of is that if he kept losing his jobs on purpose, I was afraid of him being in the uh, in a place by himself. Because if I'm going to work and I'm going to work all day, he could easily bring in the ex, and then they can do stuff in the house, and that's what I was afraid of. So then I had to get very constructive. I had to get very strategic, and I started to position it in a way that he needed to keep the job so that he could save money, because that's how he got her in the first place. He had a lot of money saved, and so she let him come move in with him, and she basically spent all his money. But when I got him into that understanding that, keep the job so you can save back that money that you had before you moved in with her. Well, that positioned him into thinking that if he had that money again, that she would accept him back. And then I had a strategy. So he didn't know that I was planning my exit out of the relationship. What I was trying to do was get him to focus on one thing so that he can remain stable in that one thing so that I can exit him out of my life, because it was never going to work. He was never going to leave the ex alone. He was never going to stop being disrespectful towards me. I was tired of being in that type of situation. I got myself in it uh, based upon a lie to myself and a lie from him. And I made what would have become a truly bad life decision based upon a lie. So I want you to think about these relationships you're in, the decisions that you make, and uh, be okay with the idea that you don't have to have someone moving in with you. And the fact that they have to move in with you should tell you that they can't take care of themselves. If they don't have a stable income, where or that, and if they cannot keep their own place, keep have a job, keep the job, get their own place, stay on the job, stay in the place for a year, and then reassess after a year. If they've never had that, that is not the person that you need to be with. You're not going to be able to grow on their behalf. All they're going to do is bring you down to their level. And it's going to be very self-destructive. You're going to lose your money. You're going to lose your mind. You're going to lose your sanity. You're going to lose your soul. Everything around you is going to be affected, because it's going to be like quicksand. The more you try to pull yourself out of that situation, the more the quicksand is pulling you down. And so women in general need to stop moving in men. Successful women need to stop moving in men. You need to be able to have a conversation with men without sex, and sit at a table, a dinner table or something like that, and let that person talk. Because what they're trying to do is let you run your mouth and let you talk so they can listen to what you got. Because we always go, women are very very good about this. They run their mouths about how much money they make. They run their mouths about what they spend their money on. They run their mouths about who they're helping, who they're giving money to, etc. And all the men are doing is calculating, well, if she spent $800 on this, okay, I know she can spend $800 on me. If she did this, if her rent is $3,200 a month, or her mortgage is $3,200. Well, I know she makes at least three times that amount, right, at her job. If she's buying this type of furniture, well, I know she can do this. That's all they're listening for. They're listening for the money. They're trying to figure out what you got, and trying to figure out how they can use you to fund their lifestyle. And what it is that as long as they have a secure base, meaning that you're paying for everything, then that gives them the confidence and the wherewithal and the emotional peace, I guess, to go and pursue who they want to pursue. So here it is, you're paying bills, you're working yourself to death, 2 and 3 jobs, paying all the bills in the house, and they are now taking the money that you give them to pursue their ex or pursue a new woman. So be careful about, because now these women are coming up dead. These men that they have taken in, who were bums and losers and wouldn't do what they were supposed to do, they're now coming up dead. You also have some men who wouldn't make it work with their child's mother, who now decided to get a new girlfriend. And there was this recent case, YouTube video of a man. It didn't work out with his child's mother, so he got back in relationship with the woman he knew from high school, I think. And so they were going good for a minute, and then something happened to him. He went missing. Well, she chopped him up and she planted some of his body parts in different places or whatever. So here it is. He wouldn't work things out with an ex, with the child's mother. Go returns to a relationship, an old relationship that became the death of him. He made a life decision based upon a lie. She likely presented herself as a good woman, as a woman who will be there for him, unlike his ex, um, and that's implied. unlike his ex, and I got you, I'm gonna hold you down, I'm gonna do all that. When she was a liar from the start, you know that to be true because he's dead. He's dead. He's no longer here. Same about other licenses. There's this recent case about a young girl, 19 years old, who went out on a date with a 33-year-old, and he presented himself as a good man. The girl was black and the man was white, and he presented himself as a good man. Here it is, you are having a date with somebody, you are communicating, engaging, and it looks like, oh, he's a good person, so I'm going to go home with him. We'll have a one night stand and I go on about my business. No, he chopped her up, and he I think he burned a car, and then he put her body parts in different areas of the city. She was in college. She was in college. She was 19 years old, and she was going with this trend of black women divesting from black men and opening up their dating options and including white men. And it was the death of her. She made a life changing decision based upon a lie. And so we need to stop doing that. We need to pause. We need to think about our standards and our thinking and really research. You know, we need to become our own study, our careful study. We need to stop looking out and looking for people and pulling at other people to solve issues that are inherent within us, apparent and inherent within us, and we're trying to get them to solve the problem called us, the problem called me, the problem called I, me, myself, and I. We need to take some time. We need to get out of this dating situation, this need for companionship, and begin to look within. Because otherwise, we're going to keep walking around emotionally blind and filled with emotional trauma and triggers and things like that. There's no way she could have seen this guy, or there's no way the guy could have seen this woman and thought to themselves, if something happens and it doesn't go right, um, that he's going to chop me up or she's going to chop me up. There's no way they could have seen that. So the person presenting in front of them was a lie. They represented a lie, and it was such a good lie that you would never ever think in your life that a person would do you that way. So this is something that I really want you to think about, because times are short, life is short, and it's getting very evil, very demonic, and people want to kill, people want to steal and destroy, and that's what the devil does. He comes to kill, steal, and destroy, and that's what people want to do. They want to be able to exact their revenge. They want to be able to exact the fantasies that are in their minds and hearts. Um, uh, to me, it doesn't always have anything to do with mental health issues. It has everything to do with free will, and they are purposely seeking out situations where they can now kill somebody. There was some situation with a woman who was an Uber driver or Lyft driver. She had a white woman, had four kids, and the guy who was the passenger comes in, pulls out a gun to her head, and he wants her to do something, give him money, cash app or something like that. And she kept telling him, you know, I got four kids. And then he said, well, I got kids too. And then later it was found out that he shot her in the head. Well, she made a life decision to become an Uber driver. Becoming an Uber driver is not a bad decision per se, but something in that decision making led to a tragedy. uh, Maybe I have a better example. There was a woman, black older woman, taking care of her mother some time ago, and she had already had a full time job, and she wanted to take on Uber driving for extra cash for Christmas. But she had already had a full time job. Everything was fine. Well, she didn't know that a passenger had set in his mind before she even pulled up to his place that he was looking for somebody to kill. He was looking for somebody to kill. He said it. He was looking for somebody to kill. What I find, and it can be argued or challenged, but to me, what it seemed like in her thinking, she didn't really need the Uber job. She just wanted to do it for extra money, meaning that she had all her all of her needs met with the regular job. And so sometimes she made a life decision um, based upon a lie. And so she's dead as well. And so sometimes you may need to assess, do I really need to take on this extra income? Do I really need to take on this task? For people who have to work 2 and 3 jobs, which might include gig work like Uber, DoorDash, or whatever, they have to. That is something that they have to do. Um, but I would caution that if it's getting very dangerous with that situation, then you're going to have to set a goal to exit it, because otherwise it could mean your life. Meaning that people wait too long to make changes in their life. If you know you're not making enough money in this area, go take a class. Okay, but I can't go to class because it take up too much time. Then take the online class. Manage yourself, and then you take one class, you take another, you take 4 classes. That gives you a certificate um, in a program. That certificate then can take you into another environment from where you are now. This is not judgment. This is nowhere near judgment, but we have to really look at our decisions. Not every decision should be a decision that you make, even if it is non-evil. It's not an evil decision. It's not a bad decision. It's a good decision. It could be a helpful decision, but sometimes you may need to do with whatever you got, with whatever you got. You don't always need to go do this. You don't always need to go do this. You don't always need, like some people are the types of people, they can't stay in the house. They have to be out somewhere. They have to be at a club. They have to run the streets. Well, the streets are getting very dangerous. If it's not road rage leading to death, it can be you just going into the cockamamie grocery store just to go get some basic items, and you end up dead because a shooter decided that he was bored that day and he wanted to shoot up the store. And then, I mean, there are some things that if it's your pattern where you go to the store on a Saturday morning, that's your pattern. Or you go to the store after church on a Sunday, that's your pattern. I get that. That's not something that I'm challenging. But when you feel um, uh, uh, some sort of intuition, something in you that's saying, no, not today, or let's just stay home, or don't go out, or wait to 12, or whatever it is that you're feeling, you need to heed that. You need to listen to that, because you can make a life decision that can lead to your death, and you have no other opportunity of recovery. You're dead. So that's what I want you to think about. That be careful making life decisions based upon lies. It can be lies you tell yourself. It can be lies that people tell you. It can be lies that the world tells you, right? That it's okay to do this, when in reality it's actually self-destructive to do this. So that's what I want you to. That's what I want to leave you with. This is overcoming life tired setback. Be careful making life decisions based on lies. So please subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and also visit reginawhitefavorites.com for tips and resources. Uh, Thank you very much for listening.